As we get closer to fall, some states could see a delay in seeing fall colors and why heat may be to blame.
And
Like
how
this.
Californians
No
may
sailboats
see
out on the-
relief after parts of the state were plagued by wildfires.
Plus, how working from home could potentially be saving the environment.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan.
And I'm meteorologist Tania Michelle. It's a duo.
Sorry, we kicked Wes out for the night, so this is the girl show. Almost. Our director Greg is in fact a male, but our producer Kimberlyn is a female, so
Hi,
we're almost
Kimberlyn.
there. So poor. Oh, I'm not going to share that on air. But anyway, yes, we are so glad to have everyone here with us on Weather Extra, our all-digital streaming cast. Back to the basics since we got, what is it, Tania? What's on tonight? Baseball? Anyway, so Tania and I aren't, it's baseball, right?
It's baseball.
Okay, good. Now, if you may have noticed, Tania and I are not super savvy when it comes to sports.
No.
But we have talked about playing pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pickleball, ping pong is my thing. Volleyball.
You know what I like? Badminton. Oh,
Badminton is fun.
Tania used to play volleyball in school,
love me some
though. Yeah,
volleyball.
that's where she gets the guns to get the ball. Ooh.
Bam.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Watch out.
Y'all watch out. I hope y'all are still seated at home because Tania may knock you out of your seats. But you know what else may knock you out of your seats? The forecast as we go into the weekend.
Very
Tania,
true.
it's going to be getting hot again. I hate to break it to you.
It's fall, but it's not fall.
Yeah, it's not fall. We call it false fall around here. So let's get a look at what we're expecting here in terms of the weather. Now, the good news is, as far as the tropics, we are not going to be impacted by that. But I did just want to show you it's still active out there in the Atlantic Basin. As we look out in the eastern Atlantic, we do have this area we're watching that has a high chance of development over the next week. And so we've got two areas we're watching. The question is, what is going to be Ophelia and what is going to be Philippe? So we're keeping a close eye on this. This is something that could be impacting parts of possibly the Caribbean or Western Atlantic later next week. So this is just the one that we're keeping an eye on for now. But closer to home, we do have what developed today, potential tropical cyclone 16. And meteorologist Matt Daniel is going to give us a more in-depth look at this as we go later into the show. But as of right now, this is not a named system, but does have the potential as it moves farther to the north to potentially become something in the way of possibly a tropical storm. And this could again be Ophelia or Philippe. So you'll notice it will rapidly strengthen as we go into the next 48 hours. So by early Saturday morning, it could be a stronger tropical storm with potentially max winds at 60 miles per hour. It looks like it's going to be affecting areas like North Carolina into Virginia, and then potentially eventually going back out to sea early next week. But how did this even come to be? Well, we've actually had a stalled front that's been hanging out across Florida today. And so what happened is that we saw an area of low pressure that's been developing along this boundary. And that's what's been happening this afternoon. That's why the National Hurricane Center went ahead and pulled the trigger on, okay, this could potentially become a tropical cyclone in the days ahead. So what we expect here is that this could eventually become more organized. Oftentimes we can see these type of setups actually in early June. You get a little late spring front to come down into the Gulf of Mexico, and what happens is that you can see low pressure develop along that front, and that's kind of what has happened over here in the Western Atlantic. And you can see it's going to be steered that way due to the steering currents in the atmosphere. This is the upper level system. There's a bit of a dip in the jet stream that is helping to propel this area of low pressure across the Western Atlantic, and then eventually getting up somewhere like the Carolinas, but could be a rainmaker for parts of the Mid-Atlantic. But like I said, meteorologist Matt Daniel, he's going to be going over this in the days ahead, or actually later in the show, and we'll certainly be keeping a close eye on this. But for now, with fall just over the horizon, we all know and love those pretty fall leaves like I spoke about yesterday, and how we can't wait for them to finally show up, because apparently they're going to change eventually. But what's the science behind why the leaves change colors? Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt explains.
Hey there, you're starting to see some of the fall colors across Alabama. It is that time of the year, and that's one of the beauties about the fall season. We start to see those yellows and reds and oranges really come out. You know what happens this time of the year is as the sun angle lessens, it's less direct. Well, it brings out those pretty colors, the reds and the oranges and the yellows this time of the year, but the weather can also have a big impact on that as well. You know, typically if we have a dry fall season, that can delay the onset of the peak fall colors and maybe not as vibrant as what we would typically see on an average fall season. However, if we do have a wet fall season, that can really make for quite the beauty across our region and really bring out the fall colors right on time as well. But the temperature can also have an impact on the fall season as well. When you have those warmer than average conditions and you have nights where you have a lot of clouds which can elevate the temperatures, that can also delay the onset of the peak fall colors. So maybe not as vibrant as what we would see on a typical fall season, but when we have the cooler temperatures and we have the crisp nights, that can really bring out the colors. I know when we start thinking about fall, well, we start thinking about, well, grabbing the rake, right? However, over the next couple of weeks, we should have quite the beauty across the state of Alabama as we go into the next couple of months. And of course, we'll have lots of updates on the fall colors forecast, and we'll keep you certainly posted on when to expect some of the peak colors across Alabama right here on Weather Extra.
Aw, thanks, Wes. That was so informative. I love the fall season, and especially when those leaves start changing colors. But like Wes explained, the heat and even the sun rays affect how leaves can change colors in the fall season. So Adam Duxter heads to Minnesota, where he finds out why the climate may also play a huge part in that as well.
Sunshine.
It's a gorgeous day to go hiking, walking, come back and read my book.
And weather that will leave you questioning your calendar.
Feels like summer. It still feels like summer. We're going to hit 85 today.
It's all taking a toll at Afton State Park.
I think we have to either redefine normal or you use a different word.
DNR naturalist Linda Rademicki says it starts with brush, whose fall colors
It just dried out. This is what it usually looks like most of the winter now.
have already fallen.
It was blue color for a week only, and it should be a month.
You're going to see some color, but not all leaves are going to change at once.
Climatologist Pete Boulay says our climate is having the opposite effect on trees.
Some trees are driven by temperature, some are driven by light. So obviously we haven't had cold temperatures, so fall color might be delayed for some trees this fall.
And when it comes to when these trees will peak in color, Rademicki says she's got her eyes glued to the calendar because right now, all signs point towards October 19th, which is the weekend of MEA here in the state of Minnesota, which could lead to a very busy weekend here at the park.
As unpredictable.
I have no doubt that fall and winter will come, just who knows when exactly.
As the rest of 2023.
But it's also Minnesota. That's part of the drill here is sometimes we're in jean jackets now and sometimes we're in shorts and t-shirts.
And that was Lauren in the back there. We'll be right back with First Alert Weather Extra in 30 seconds.
Good Day Alabama has all the information you need to plan the day ahead.
That's why we're in your neighborhood every morning, making sure you're prepared. When you hit the roads, we're on your side, helping you get to your destination on time and getting you back to your routine.
With everything you need to keep you and your family safe.
Trust your day with the largest morning team on your side.
So you can have a good day, Alabama.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan. A spare the air alert is still in place in the San Francisco Bay Area today after smoke traveled into the region from wildfires in Northern California and Oregon. The large wildfires are producing hazy skies that you can see here and unhealthy air conditions in the Bay Area. It comes from the Anvil Fire, which originated in the southern coast of Oregon. However, moisture expected over the weekend could shift the flow of the smoke and hopefully bring some much needed relief back to the Bay. And data shows that Wednesday's air quality was the worst in nearly 2 years across the Bay Area. But hey, good news to my fellow introverts. like our producer, Kimberlyn, a new study shows that remote work benefits the environment. The authors say that working remotely could cut a person's carbon footprint by 58%. Hybrid work alone can cut a person's carbon footprint by up to 29% if they work from home for 2 to 4 days a week. One day at home, though, didn't make a significant difference. The study was published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Hope some people are watching. Well, coming up on First Alert Weather Extra, when we return, Tania.
Yeah, Lauren, beachgoers in Santa Barbara get a mysterious surprise. What scientists are doing to figure out the cause of it.
And the interesting find by scientists that could uncover more about the extinction of an island animal.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The First Alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. One thing we always like to make sure we take time to cover here on Weather Extra is giving you that little extra something. And these days, that is certainly focusing on topics like climate change. And one thing that we saw this past summer, well, the data has come in, and this is the hottest summer on record across the planet since in recorded history. So as we look at the heat, the above average heat we've been experiencing across the planet this summer. I know we're almost into the fall season, but we want to look back at what we dealt with this summer. And one of the places that the heat was abnormally high was in the ocean, where there was record ocean heat. And so what I want you to notice is that this is over the past year from January up until August. So this is data recorded through August 15th, 2023. And what you'll notice over here on the right side, we have the average global sea surface temperature. And I say right side, that's the left side, but you'll notice this is averaging temperatures all across the globe. We've been putting a lot of stories here on Weather Extra talking about the anomalously high sea surface temperatures in places closer to the Florida Keys, where there was a 100-degree day for water temperature in that area. That broke records. So if you see this and you're like, oh, well, it only got up to 70. Remember, this is an average of sea surface temperatures across the globe, which includes that. But you'll notice just here on this white line, this is in the year 2023, how if we look back at all of the recorded data from, this is talking 1979 to 2020, much higher than average. And what could that be due to? Well, we have to look at Things like climate change. When you do see more heat being produced across the earth, the ocean can take in a lot of that heat. And what happens when you have anomalously warm temperatures in the ocean? Well, it can shift habitats of sea life. It can also impact fisheries. So that can impact the global food supply. When you have more warm water, that's fuel for tropical systems, as we've certainly seen this year. We're in an El Nino year right now. Typically, when you're in an El Nino year, the activity is much less in the Atlantic Basin, but this year has proved to not to be the case. And when you also have ocean warming, it can cause issues to coral. And you can see just here over this past summer, as we look at this animation here, these were where we had coral bleaching taking place. And notice where that coral bleaching was really pronounced over the summer months in the Gulf of Mexico, the Western Atlantic, and the Caribbean. These corals are vital to sustaining the ocean's ecosystem. So this is something we certainly want to look at going into the years ahead. What can we do? How can we do our part to help to combat this issue? So this is certainly something we're going to be watching and continuing to cover here in Weather Extra. But speaking of the tropics and that anomalously warm water, we've been talking about that disturbance off the Western Atlantic, off the southeast coast, that could maybe become something tropical. Or could it be subtropical? Meteorologist Matt Daniel explains.
Well, we know summer's coming to an end, but the hurricane season continues up until the end of November. So we still have a couple months to go. And of course, we've already gone 2/3 of this 2023 Atlantic hurricane list. And Ophelia is the next name up if we get a tropical storm or a subtropical storm. And you may have heard a few names in the past called subtropical. So what does it mean? Well, it's all about the core of the system. In tropical systems, they're considered warm core, but when it's subtropical, it can be a mixture of a tropical system or a typical area of low pressure you would see over land, which is typically cold core. So tropical is by itself. When it's a subtropical system, it doesn't necessarily have a front or has a decaying front with it. And when it comes to strength, of tropical systems gain their strength from warm water, but when it comes to subtropical, they gain their strengths from some upper level systems. So you'll notice with subtropical systems, storms are more farther away from the center, and when it comes to like tropical storms or hurricanes, the storms are more concentrated in the center. The reason why I'm mentioning this is we're watching an area of low pressure forming off the coast of the southeast, and it could become subtropical in nature. In other words, not fully tropical, but it's going to be something to watch. A lot of our models supporting a storm developing. You see these circles, that's indicating it's lowering pressure and maybe impacting the Carolinas going into the weekend. So could this become Ophelia? We'll have to wait and see. The good news, this thing will stay away from us. The bad news could be wet, rainy, windy weather across the mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast going into Saturday into Sunday. How much rain could they see along the coast? A couple of inches of rain possible. So from Virginia Beach to the Carolinas, not the greatest weather going into the weekend. We'll have more updates on the tropics. Make sure you download the WBRC First Alert weather app. You can get the latest information on the tropics through there.
Thanks, Matt. Well, meanwhile, we got to talk about Santa Barbara. Let's head over to California, where tar and oil blobs have been appearing on several beaches in Santa Barbara, California. But as John Palmenteri reports, the source is a mystery.
It's been a messy trip for people in the last couple of weeks on some of the beaches from Goleta to Carpinteria. Blobs of tar, possibly from the natural seeps, have been hitting the shores extensively.
Not just a little bit more, but lots more, and also fairly large globs of it, and also a kind of tar that doesn't quite look like the regular tar.
Within the crashing waves at Butterfly Beach, it may not be that obvious, but many people have come away with feet covered with tar, and it can sometimes be mysteriously in the water.
There have been times like in the past where you can't go to the beaches because there's like literally a thick sheen and a film of oil. Yeah. So when you go in the water, it actually gets on your skin.
Now we have to follow those pictures.
At Ledbetter Beach, there's evidence of people scraping their feet and shoes on the concrete walls to grind off as much of the tar as they can. Some of the local residents, visitors, and new students from Santa Barbara City College were caught off guard. We found tar on the beach over a very long stretch and also in the seaweed.
To show you up close what people are trying to avoid, it's globs like this that could be in the seaweed, and if you don't watch out, you'll step right on this.
This is more than I've seen in the last 6 months at least.
For regular beach visitors, it's hit and miss throughout the area.
I usually walk on Henry's, and Henry's has been bad some days and not so bad on others.
Not always, but sometimes you can see a sheen before you go in.
I usually just try to avoid this, and then I don't go very far into the ocean. But
did you already get some on your feet?
Oh yeah.
But you've only been in 5 minutes.
I know, it's not good.
These young guys were wiping and picking off as much of the tar as they could. Among the tips from a longtime resident,
I use like a thin mussel shell to get off as much mechanically as I can, and then I finish off with mineral oil.
Or wear a throwaway pair of sandals.
Go to the dollar store and buy the little dollar flip-flops, and you wear those when you're walking on the beach.
The environmental group Heal the Ocean has been closely monitoring the oil and tar on the beach and flying drones over impacted areas to get details that could lead to the source. In Santa Barbara, I'm News.
Wow, Tania, certainly got to keep an eye on that out in California. Meanwhile, check this out. Scientists have recovered genetic material, also known as RNA, from an extinct species known as the Tasmanian tiger. The animal disappeared about 2,000 years ago from just about everywhere except for the island of Tasmania, where they were eventually hunted to the point of extinction. The scientists hope to learn more about the Tasmanian tiger's genetic makeup with this revolutionary discovery. Well, still ahead on First Alert Weather Extra. Whoa, look at that. How one farmer is getting an enormous start to the pumpkin season. But first, here's a look at today's Weather Almanac.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
The First Alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Time for that Super 7-day forecast before we send you out into your Thursday evening, which I hate to report, the sun's probably going down as we speak. Hey, makes for some good sunrise and sunset photos that we've been seeing on the First Alert Weather app, which you got to send those in. By the way, scan that little QR code right there on the top right corner of your screen. it is right for you. I've got my directions all messed up today, but we're getting to the end of the week. So let's look at that forecast as we head towards the weekend. First of all, in case you haven't heard us going on and on about it all week long, the first day of fall is on Saturday, the autumnal equinox, if you want to get real fancy with it. And look at that first day of fall forecast, going to be kind of hot. Now, it'll feel good in the morning. Temperatures in the low mid 60s on Saturday, very seasonable, but possibly getting into the upper 80s on Saturday afternoon with that drier air on the backside of this tropical disturbance off the southeast coast. That could help it to get a little pleasant in the morning, but then warming up pretty quickly into the afternoon. So let's check out that out the door forecast, that morning coffee cast for your Friday. I mean, I'm not going to be dramatic about it. It's not going to be that cold in the morning. It's just going to feel nice outside. Temperatures in the low mid 60s, so a pleasant start. There will likely be a few clouds around. We did go ahead and add in a 10% chance of a stray shower tomorrow, just because today we had one little stray shower pop up in Coleman County. So if you're in Coleman, you're like, well, it was a 100% chance of rain for me today. But hey, we're just adding that in to cover our bases with this kind of unsettled weather around. But hey, because it's not going to be all that cold in the morning, we'll just go with 1 cup of hot coffee. And hey, you can still go with that iced coffee as well. It's not that cold just yet. But as we look ahead to the weekend, now for Saturday, we mentioned it's going to be dry. This is really the only day that I'm not foreseeing any even stray shower in the forecast. But because of that, because it is going to be dry, we do want to give you a first alert for the fact that the ragweed pollen and the grass pollens are still going to be high. I know we've had some people in the building, honestly, been sniffling a little bit too much for my liking. Granted, that's been me as well. But it's because of those ragweed pollens and grass pollens being high this time of the year. So just make sure you're taking your allergy medication, doing what you need to do before you go out and enjoy your weekend. Now, as we look ahead to next week, notice what happens. We begin to put a chance of rain back in the forecast. So we could potentially see the forecast getting a little bit more unsettled. Now, I will tell you, as Matt, Mickey, and Tania were saying earlier today, these rain chances are not set in stone. There's some uncertainty on how this pattern next week is going to play out. I will tell you, though, one thing that does seem certain, unfortunately, the humidity likely going to be going up, and that could be starting on Monday. So because we'll see moisture levels increasing, that could also indicate, hey, if it's a little bit more humid, possibly a better chance of some rain in the forecast. So I know we're all ready to just have a little nice night out by the fire pit. Tania was talking about drinking her hot cocoa, but I hate to break it to you guys, still looks like it's going to be pretty humid next week. So it's going to be a while before we officially get to fall. But hey, at least the first day of fall is going to be dry if you want to do anything outside, like those college football tailgates.
Yeah, Lauren, and listen, if that doesn't put you in the fall spirit, this might. Because this is something maybe hard to believe. Matter of fact, some are calling it the Super Bowl of giant pumpkins. It's huge. Farmers across Wisconsin are preparing for the 5th annual Ginormous Pumpkin Festival, including one farmer who's growing, get this, a 1,000-pound pumpkin. This big pumpkin can gain up to 25 pounds a day, but the farmer says the biggest challenge to its growth is severe weather. The Ginormous Pumpkin Festival is set for Saturday and includes a dessert eating contest, Lauren, that might have got your attention, and a giant pumpkin drop.
Okay, so we'll let Tania drop the pumpkin since apparently she lifts. She knows the gym.
I'll drop it.
Tania's our resident gym bro here, so she'll drop the pumpkin and I'll handle the desserts. Okay. I think that's fair trade.
I need something to eat after all the hard work.
I may share a little pumpkin pie with you.
Thank you.
I'll look into it. I'll see what I can do.
I'll take it.
Okay, and meanwhile, you can be my trainer at the gym.
Let's go.
How about that?
All right, another fist pound. Okay, boom.
Just kidding. If y'all have seen her Instagram reel, she's real serious. So I'm good. Thank you. But make sure you join us here on Weather Extra again tomorrow night. Tania, I know we were an all digital newscast tonight because apparently baseball's on, which Tania and I just learned recently. But we do have a great newscast lined up for tomorrow, Tania.
Absolutely. First Alert Weather Extra on TV, 6:30. And then again next week, so don't miss it. But even this evening, you can catch another forecast. At what time, Lauren?
6:30. We're in the big leagues now. Oh,
this
tonight?
Evening. 9?
Something after baseball.
Oh, there you go.
Not
Sports
my problem. It's Wes's. Y'all have a good night. Have a safe and happy Thursday evening. Oh, look.